Good day, all you Liberty lovers, and welcome to Phoenix and Friends episode 13, where we have the pump master of Bitcoin Cash, Mainnet joining today to talk about his work in the ecosystem and the latest, greatest way to gamble away all your sats with BCH Pump. Hi, Pat, and welcome to Phoenix and Friends.
Hey guys, hey everyone, glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. It's finally, great to actually speak to you this week. So, you've been very active in the community for quite some time. And up until recently, I've only experienced you in the text format, and it's great to have the chance to actually, get to speak to you and meet the man behind so many interesting projects in BCH.
Right, so most of the time I'm doing the development, so I'm not too frequent to chat in the chat groups in Telegram or whenever. So this is my second time here on X. First time was about a year ago. Yes,
Oh,
where I've
wow.
been on the General Protocols show to present my work regarding the XMR BCH at atomic swaps. Yeah, so I'm not that frequent
Okay.
to be
Yeah.
too much public.
Yeah, and we noticed that because you're too busy being busy and doing important stuff, and I think that's actually what more people could be doing, I guess. Less talking, less hot air, and more doing. So, no, very appreciated. So, for everyone who is listening, and would love to get you to know a little better, maybe we could just start there. Who is Mainnet, Pat? What drives you to help the BCH community in the so many ways that you do?
Yeah, so I have some scientific background. I have a PhD in nuclear physics, but I decided to ditch my career some years ago in favor of becoming an independent developer and kind of an entrepreneur. And when I learned about the BCH and what are the community incentives there to support the developers, I was like very happy that I can sustain myself, not going into office and work for some corporation, and I don't know, earn the buck that way. And this community funding was really attractive to me because I was kind of pursuing my interests there, and the community was finding it to be interesting and finding my work. And I'm glad to be here. I don't know, maybe already 4 full years or maybe even more, working for BCH community and in the BCH community and helping in whenever I can. Yeah, so back in the time, it started with me helping the Simon from ReadCache and Noise app. And yeah, he hired me to do some stuff where, and at that time I was completely not aware of BCH. I was kind of a hobby Bitcoiner since 2012. I have some, I've tried even the CPU mining back then, and it was like kind of geeky hobby there back then. And I have ditched the thing to pursue my scientific career until 2021, I guess, where I have hired by Simon to help him out with read cache. And yeah, I've been doing some programming, mostly touching the PHP code, the backend, front end, and not really doing the blockchain stuff. And as the time went, I really dug into the topic. I really become more technical about it, knowledgeable about it, and I really liked it. How the data is immutable on chain, how it is decentralized, how it is respecting people's freedoms, and yeah, that encouraged me a lot. And I've been kind of evolving into that topic. So, as well, becoming less and less dependent from Simon. He parted to pursue his noise app, and I've been helping here and there. But then he told me you could work on my library, the mainnet cache or mainnet.js JavaScript library, and I've been helping quite a bit with it together with 2QX. And yeah, at some point I have dug so deep into it that I became a lead developer, I would say. And until the date, I still maintain it. And it does not receive any bright new features since, I don't know, 1.5 years. It's mostly in the maintenance mode, and I patch any findings or bug reports which are there. But yes, I moved on with many projects of mine, and yeah, glad to talk about them. Not necessarily
Yeah,
in a
excellent.
timeline as the time went.
Yeah, sure. Well, there's a lot there, and there's a lot of people that you're working with. So it's yeah. So two QX is another one. Very very busy in the community, and I wasn't aware of your collaboration there between each other. And it's really really interesting, and also your background. So coming from a PhD in nuclear physics, if I understood correctly,
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting the backgrounds that people have that end up in Bitcoin Cash. And yeah, and I think it shows the sort of seriousness of the project. Because I guess a lot of people still see crypto as sort of a a Ponzi scheme, or not very interesting from other than from a gambling perspective. But I would question very much that someone that went that high in the education world, and PhDs, if anyone has any understanding of that, knows it's an incredible amount of work. And in nuclear physics, I imagine an incredible amount of very, very complicated work too.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
why I had
obviously has
no
something.
fear. Mhm. That this is why I had no fear in diving into such a complex system as Bitcoin is. So I was more encouraged or more interested and curious about learning the internals of it. So yeah, and I do not really see it too much as a gambling place or something like this. From my perspective, I allow it to be whatever people are seeing in it. If they want gambling, they would gamble anyway. And if they want to build some complicated, automated, trustless, and non-custodial systems to manage millions of dollars, this is the best way of using it, of course, as it was incepted.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all to do with the freedom part, because for me, this is, you mentioned it yourself, why Bitcoin Cash, decentralized, immutable data protects people's freedom. And the protects people's freedom part, I think, is the reason why many of us are here, why many of us find the technology so interesting. And if particular behaviors are blocked or or controlled socially, then it actually goes against the ethos. So if people want to
Yeah.
gamble, even if you don't like it, that's okay. You don't need to like it, but let people do all the things that they want to do. It's their choice. Grown adults should have that
Exactly.
responsibility.
There are many things in our life which we do not like, but we could not prohibit others to do so. So that's their choice, and we should be, I don't know, aware of others' choices. So I wanted
Yeah,
to say
exactly.
that after starting working with in the Mainnet.js, the SLP tokens was quite a topic back then, and yeah, everyone was hyped and I don't know, cheering about this topic, and they everyone wanted to I don't know, trade them, exchange them, and so on. So this was back then in February 2022, I think, where I have put up the first, maybe it's not first, but I think it was first NFT collectible website slash marketplace for the SLP tokens. It was called Waifu Camp, and it was like trading the AI generated pictures of Japanese anime waifus, and everyone was like very hyped about this. But this entire topic went yeah, down the hill steadily because it was the infrastructure was unbearable to maintain, and that it just died out. But this showed me that people are interested in fungible and non-fungible tokens in general, and they like the I know, to see something not only which has monetary value, but as well some maybe speculative value or artwork value, something which they would like to kid or I don't know, tinker with. So this showed me that token applications are really something which would interest masses. And of course, Ethereum was blooming back in the day. So of course, we kind of envied them and wanted to have tokens on our place, on BCH network. But after death of SLP, it took us quite a journey to reach the cash tokens activation, and I was really pleased to bring this support to Mainnet.js back then in December or November 2022, I think. And yeah, that was I don't know, quite a task for me, quite a challenge, because it was quite complex to upgrade to the new versions of Libov and rework the entire Mainnet.js library. So, but I'm happy because after I did this and supported the cash tokens, a lot of applications were spawned by my work, and many new user space applications were burned, like the Cashanize wallet, which is based on Mainnet.js. And then later that year, I have worked with Paytaka guys and have implemented the Paytaka Connect, which was like a predecessor of Wallet Connect 2 implementation. And back then, when I realized that Wallet Connect is possible with Bitcoin Cash, I immediately kind of alarmed everyone that this is the way to go if we want to jump in and enable all the new applications possible. And I'm glad that I was supported with this work. And as you see now, a couple of years later, there are plenty of user applications which use this technology, which separates the user funds and the application logic. And of course, TapSwap and BCH Pump are kind of the manifestation of this. How could it be implemented and used?
Yeah, okay. It was your investigation that raised then the flag that, hang on a minute, we can use Wallet Connect on BCH.
Yeah, it struck me at some point that what I did, the Paytaka Connect was modeled after the MetaMask extension. So I was like literally binding it to some browsers which support these extensions, like MetaMask it is, like Brave for Chrome. Back then, it was a really limited amount of supporting browsers. But when I went and dug deep into the Wallet Connect documentation, I have seen that from the first implementation, version 1, to second, version 2, they have made a great job to reduce the Wallet Connect technology to be just a transport layer. And I immediately realized that message exchange is agnostic to the data which is sent. And this means that I could follow their specs to enable the BCH-related message exchange. And of course, I took the protocol which was made for Paytaka Connect and just projected it on the Wallet Connect layer, and it worked like immediately. Everything was there.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that was a big success. I cannot say that this implementation which I made is perfect. I think there could be a couple of iterations made to improve it. Like recently on General Protocol Spaces, they discussed how to, present to the person more information about this, the transaction they are about to sign. And I immediately thought that even in this current World Connect implementation, we could extend it with all the inputs and outputs annotation, so that it's not only the contracts which you interact with are annotated, that kind of this is an NFT swap transaction, swapping this for this, but as well you could annotate like BCH only inputs, outputs, or op returns with some extra labels like these are your funding inputs. This one goes to platform fee. This one goes to your change, so that they are aware that there is extra clarity about the transaction layout, and kind of that they understand what they work with better. And of course, there are much more usability features to be implemented, like transaction batch sign-in and so on. Or sign-in of a chain of transactions which are dependent on each other, and so on. So these are interesting topics to work on. And there is some BTC implementation, BTC, LTC, Doge, and so on. All these SegWit coins, they did their spec for Wallet Connect, presenting it more of a HD wallet. And I have intentionally reduced it to be a single address or single key wallet. So maybe I would need to revisit their work and support this part of the protocol to be compatible with them, so that more people from their space could jump in with their applications into BCH and explore our possibilities, and become more familiar. So
it's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
That almost gives us sort of a hint that you're not aware of, or maybe not completely aware of, the work going on with that Jim's doing on Cash Connect.
I'm completely
Could that be
aware
the
of
case?
it. Yes, I follow
Okay.
his work closely, and Cash Connect is as well a bit far beyond Wallet Connect as a simple message exchange layer, because it really is a tool for a strict validation of transactions, so that wallet could be configured such that it would only work with certain templates, like contract interaction templates or contract templates to be interacted with in a super strict fashion, and do not accept like interaction with any others unless allowed explicitly or something like this. So, and of course, it is much more clever about how to interact with the transaction, because it knows the transaction layout and so on. In my Wallet Connect implementation, I just replace or put in the signatures for the inputs. For example, I help provide correct signatures into the contract inputs if it's a contract interaction, or to sign BCH, plain BCH, or pay to public key hash inputs which require a signature. So it is way simpler than template-based Cash Connect.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. If anyone that's listening, Wallet Connect is the interface that allows your personal, your non-custodial wallet to very easily connect with different DeFi apps in BCH. So you can log into TapSwap, or you can log into Cash Token Studio or to Cauldron via your wallet. And then you're able to interact with those apps and sign transactions, such as when you're purchasing or selling tokens or NFTs, or if you want to stake your token in a pool, you can sign that contract. And likewise, when you want to extract that or close down that pool, you would have to then sign the contract. And it's basically it's one of the greatest UX implementations that I've seen for cash tokens, to just make this ecosystem usable for the average user, which is great. A great thing that you've sort of brought over there. You've seen this working on it was Ethereum originally.
Yeah, I was trying
Is
to
the
follow their kind of success story and replicate what they have invented there. And of course, it is not entirely possible to just plainly take what they have, because account model and UTXO model are quite different. But still, the similarities are big, especially what regards the user application interaction.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is great. And this is, of course, when people are spending huge amounts of time and money creating stuff on other chains, it would be madness to not have a little look and see what can we use. What, of course, it will need to be tweaked. It will need to be adjusted. And
Mhm.
this was a great one. So thank you very much for that, Pat. And of course, there's another one that you've had a look at on another chain. Pump Fun on Solana. And this is something that I believe, I think this was Bitcoin Cash Artist, if I'm not mistaken, that was originally thought of the idea, but correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, he'd been
Is to take this. Sorry.
yeah he'd been kind of playing with this idea or exploring and reverse engineering what the Solana's approach to this pump fund is. And at some point, he really took it seriously and dived into the idea and explored it in um, widely. And then he just started to chat about it. And I was thinking, yeah, he's serious about this. And when he started to do some work for it, like trying to interpret the contract and put them into the BCH script, so cash script contract, I really was interested to look into it because it is very similar to Cauldron in the same in this regard that is as well an automated market constant product automated market maker contract, and it is quite different because it has different constant product curves. And what BCA did, he explored the curve and put it onto the BCH contracts and tweaked the offset points so that the pump curve and cauldron curve has an kind of intersection point where the transition from one to another is possible. And this is the same as pump funds tokens are going to be migrated to the Radium DEX on Solana. And then we understood that it is possible to replicate even that, the migration of tokens or what were raised in the process. And basically, we have eliminated all the remaining questions, and we came to the conclusion that yes, it is possible. So then we started working out the contracts. They were several because of the VM limits we have now. And at this moment, if you would look at the contract, at the transactions you sign, you would see always that there are two contract inputs being spent. And it took some extra handling and extra care to design the contracts such that both of them contain part of the logic. They restrict the behavior of each other, and then they follow some rules to be spent together. So you cannot spend one contract without spending another. So they always come hand in hand. The first one is the main contract, which kind of deals with the bonding curve. And the second one is for the fees. They both come in hand until they are being spent into the completion contract. It's a bit technical, but I'm excited because it's the most complex contract and entity I have worked on BCH, and I'm amazed with BCH's capabilities and mine too, because it was quite a challenge to implement this. And so it's a chain of, let me say, 5 contract interactions. So first of all, you trade on the curve until it completes. Then you spend both contracts into the completion contract, and this contract aggregates all the fees and remaining tokens. And then it is allowed to be spent into the payout as a reward to the token creator, to the platform fee, and to the Cauldron DEX. And then there is as well a proposal how to put the raised money into the special contract, splitter contract, which would then in turn output the extra BCH raised into the so-called miner drip. And it's like a faucet for the miners to incentivize to attract more hash onto the chain to secure the chain. And it's like a exponentially decaying contract which pays out with every transaction just a small drip of entire pool of money, and kind of you would deplete the entire pool in 4 years. So that you incentivize, first of all, miners to be there to mine BCH, and then to remain longer on our chain. So it's an interesting idea by BCA to do so. And yes, this is now on the to-do list to implement.
Oh
Kind of
wow! So
as a
no
last
rest
step,
here.
as a last step of
Yeah.
pump fun life cycle.
Oh, okay, that's great. So let's just just to put it back on a bit of a higher level, so people can understand what BCH Pump is doing. So the way that I see this, so you can connect your wallet directly to the website. So bchpump.cash.
Yes.
You can create your token here. And it's available to sell only on bchpump.cash at the start. People can come and they can buy the tokens, and they can also sell via the wallet. And when that's happening, is the token then locked on? So is it able to be taken into their wallet in non-custodial, or is it locked until that bonding is complete?
So yes, you are right in all the steps. So you come to the website, you open up, you connect your wallet, and you open the dialog to create the token. And it has very simple setup. You just put in your name, ticker, description, maybe a website. Optionally, you could upload the image from your disk or paste the URL of the token image or icon, and then that's it for creation. You have created it. Then it creates this set two contracts, and then you are able to trade these tokens. So I could say you buy the tokens from the curve from this contract, and you pay BCH for this. So you get an exchange. You get tokens in exchange for your BCH. So the curve loses some tokens and gets some BCH. Yeah, and this is called the bonding process. And as soon as the 80% of the total supply minted of these fungible tokens will be bought, you would reach the threshold, and this is called the bonding completion. But of course, on this way to the bonding completion, many people could buy in or sell their tokens back into the curve. And this is where the entire activity happens, right? And this is what drives the pump fun. So people jump in, FOMO in, ape in, what else? And first come, first get the profit, and then of course there are exit scams and whatnot. But this is up to people to decide if they want to do a pump and dump and abandon the token, or they launch they raise the funds for a legit token with a future, which they have I don't know, some incentives of using or rewarding the community or whatnot. So everything is possible. We are providing them the tool, and Pump Fund or BCH Pump in this sense is a token launchpad. So it's just a tool to create new tokens.
And a great tool too to create new tokens. So if so, I'm sure you might know parts of the Fiendish and Friends. There's two tokens. There is the Fiendish token which people can buy, which can be translated into 1 minute of fiendish time and services, which is used by people for all kinds of different projects to get me my time on it. And there's also the Emerald token, which is used currently. Its utility is for shout outs, and I've actually got one here. Someone's wisely invested 100,000 fiendish token for this shout out. Get a bunch of self-licensed cypherpunks working on your privacy at aria VPN _net. Is a strict no logs policy, zero knowledge architecture VPN provider, not in any of the 14I countries. BCH zero conf and XMR only. $30 for a whole year plan. Business solutions available. So there we go. Tokens can have value. They can have some utility to them. It doesn't just have to be pump and dump schemes.
Exactly. And this is what I meant. For example, by raising this pump token, which was the very first one I have created to celebrate the launch of the BCH pump, I kind of not only raise it to pay for my work, but I would like to not sell it. I would like to have it and keep it. And I am exploring the staking programs kind of on the BCH, so that pump token owners could stake the tokens into the XPump contract or token and mint those in return. And then I could put some of the platform fees into buying this pump token from Cauldron and restaking it back into the XMist, but with the kind of obligation not to ever unstake it. And by doing this, I'm raising the value of XPump and pump for everyone, right? So it's as well some incentive program. And if you are familiar with the SushiSwap, they have exactly that, the contract which kind of inspired me to explore this on BCH. So it's like an incentive program for early stakers. It's as well kind of a pyramid, of course. But as well, this X token could have some application like for governance or, I don't know, rewarding the community by airdropping it to everyone and so on. So the creativity is the limitation here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the key, isn't it? It's creativity, imagination. How a token is just that until, how do you wrap it up into some service or utility that you're offering? Now, it could just be a gambling thing, of course, and then the price drops afterwards. But I really think the more exciting projects are where those tokens are sort of utilized somewhere in your, in the ecosystem and via an app, via a website, whatever it is. And we've got some, more interesting tokens that are out there already, and it'll be interesting to see what tokens are being launched on BCH Pump. As I said, for me, it's a very interesting way of getting that liquidity up. And so just to finish off on that process, so the bonding curve is complete at 80%. Is that correct? So, and that's when then a certain amount of the tokens move on to Cauldron decks. Maybe you could just
Exactly.
explain that process, like how much goes to Cauldron decks, how much stays on the BCH Pump platform.
Yeah, so whenever the bonding curve completes, the bonding process completes, it takes 21 BCH to reach 80% of the entire token supply to be bought from the curve. So the 20% remains on the contract. And then it's a funny magic numbers, but at this point, at 80%, the token capitalization reaches the 69.420 BCH in whichever current USD value. And at this point, the transition happens, and those 20% tokens, which is 20, what is this, 2 billion? No, I think we have 100 billion overall, and 20 billion are getting transferred to Cauldron with those, let me say, 21 BCH. There is as well the platform fee, and there is the surplus BCH, which is an artifact of this curve transition. It's quite technical. I would no, BCA is not here, but he explained it in the chat that there is surplus 3.4, I think, BCH, which is currently kept on the dev account and which we wanted to use for the incentives. So at this 20% tokens and 21 BCH raised, we transition to we move the liquidity to the cauldron and lock it there, and we lock it for a public key which is all zeros. So there is no such key in existence, or no one has ever had the success to find a private key which would correspond to the public key of all zeros. So it's as I don't know what is the probability to reverse engineer this or crack this, but in general words, it is impossible to find the key for such a public key, and this means that this is unstakeable. So you could not remove this liquidity ever. It is there forever. So all these 20 billion tokens in the first step and 21 BCH are locked and could not be removed as the liquidity pools. So this is the initial part, and this means that a creator cannot pull the rug to benefit from this DEX launch or on the Cauldron launch. And of course, this market cap corresponds to the transition point. And as soon as people start to lock more coins into the Cauldron pool, the market cap would rise.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. I think so. I'm not sure if I follow the one with the creator not being able to rug. So let's just walk through that one. So right now, the original, the greatest pump, BCH pump token, is at 83% of the bonding curve. So this means it's over 80%. So it's reached its target.
No.
It then moves.
Here, the progress towards the bonding is 83. So it's 83% of 80%.
Right.
So you should understand it correctly. So at 100% progress, you would reach 80% of all market cap minted. So it's a tricky, but we try to follow the interfaces and all the terminology from PumpFun. So we wanted to be as clownish as it possible.
Makes sense. You want, because I guess, one of the hopes is, I would imagine from yourself and from Bitcoin Cash Autist, is that this will attract new people into the ecosystem that are very much used to pump fun.
Mhm.
And so that, the easier it is to sort of navigate that, okay, they know how it works and what the numbers mean, then the more likely it is that they'll give it a whirl and give it a whiz.
Yeah, I have seen some new people. I have seen some couple of guys coming in and asking questions about BCH Pump. They were interested. Clearly come not from our community, so new faces, so to say. And yeah, in this regard, we already did some progress on this and kind of maybe made them interested, not entirely onboarded them, but made them interested in our space.
Interesting. Be interesting to see how much activity it draws in. I certainly hope. I hope plenty. So okay, so the pump coin. So because so that means then. So even before it's the token on BCH pump has reached bonding, you've bought some of this token, and you can actually extract that token, take that out, and then list it already on Cauldron Dex before it's reached its bonding curve.
Exactly. So when people buy from bonding curve from BCH pump, they are free to do with the pump tokens whatever they like, as well to create the Cauldron liquidity pools from this. But those pools would be owned by them, so they can remove this liquidity anytime. But in contrast, this 20% will be transitioned in such a way that these 20% of liquidity pools could not ever be removed from Cauldron.
Yeah, no, I understood that point.
Hmm.
Well, here's a question then. It, so the original, there must be 20% to move across to Cauldron. So it means that not everyone can extract the tokens. So do I understand that correctly then that does the creator need to own the first 20% of those tokens?
No creator might
Or is there
just sell them immediately and exit. So
okay.
this is coin called
What would
maybe abandoned coin, where the creator is having a 0% share in the entire token supply.
yeah, okay, that makes sense. But then what would happen, let's say, if 100% of the people that were buying the token, um, took it out of the wallet, took it out of that contract, and they wanted to, they would go and list it on Cauldron or whatever it is. How then would 20% of the tokens from BCH Cash when it hits that bonding move? Because the bonding's based on what's been sold from the pool. Is that
Exactly.
correct?
So you cannot any longer sell to the bonding curve back because it does not exist anymore. You now have those tokens on Cauldron, and it has its own bonding curve. So then you could trade on Cauldron, but of course, if everyone would make a bank run on the Cauldron, then they by selling their tokens, which is let's say 80% of entire token supply, they would immediately crash the price to zero. But if they would decide to stick with this coin, they would maybe hold it, or better, if it's some incentivized utility coin, then they as well could offer their liquidity to the market. And by this, they will improve or increase the market cap of the said token.
Yeah, okay, that part makes sense. The bonding curve though. So if you were to sell, just to just make sure I understand this correctly. So let's say from the total supply towards the bonding curve, you sell 10%, and that would mean then the bonding curve progress is at 10%, and then the person takes the tokens out of BCH Cash. Does that mean then that 10% goes back to 0%?
Not sure what you mean. When the bonding progress is not yet complete and the BCH pump curve still exists, then you could return these tokens by selling them into the bonding curve and getting your BCH back.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but so if I was to go on there, say not no tokens been sold yet, and if I bought 10% of the bonding curve progress, the number of tokens that would be required to get the bonding curve progress to 10%. So that means the bar is now 10%
Ah,
on
yes,
BCH Cash.
yes.
But then
This
now what I
number
do is I
will,
say,
mhm, this number will
and then
constantly.
I say I take I now I wanted to these are my tokens. I want to take them out. So I take them out of and I go and list them myself on Cauldron Swap.
Mhm.
What happens to the bonding curve progress now? Does it stay at 10%, or does it drop back to 0% because you've taken it out of the liquidity?
So you bought the tokens from the bonding curve. The progress is
Hmm.
now at 10%. And if you will take
Hmm.
your coins, your tokens, and go to the pump or to the cauldron, nothing will happen to the bonding curve. The progress will change each time the contract would lose tokens. So if with every buy or sell from the contract, from the curve, but not by users' actions such as listing on Cauldron.
Okay, that's just see, that goes to my question. How could it be guaranteed that 20% of the tokens could be moved to Cauldron decks? If, for example, the bonding curve could be at 79%, but there may not be any tokens available
Yes.
actually on.
So this is all enforced by the Covenant rules, yeah, by the smart contract on BCH, and it is not possible to complete the bonding curve at 79%. It is possible to complete it at 80 plus 1% or 1%. So there is still a bit of a margin, which is there for precision, kind of, I don't know, for imprecision of computation, right? And then you would only be able to complete the bonding curve and transfer the tokens to the cauldron when there is 20% of the tokens left on the contract. So everything is enforced by the contract, by the covenant.
Yeah.
And basically this transition from one curve to another, it is enforced and it is very strict. You cannot tweak it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. So basically, so you sell. There's 80% of the tokens they're sold. That means the bonding curve progresses at basically 100%. But then the 20%, there's this extra 20%. They're in that contract. That's what moves to Cauldron. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. The Bitcoin Cash podcast is asked to speak. So I don't know if you have a question or a bit of feedback to that.
No, I don't. I don't have a question, but I was also just going to come in and see if I could, explain it in my words, and then maybe Pat can say whether that's correct or not, and then you could also see if it makes sense. The way I understand it, you've got to understand like the logical progression. So you start with, let's say, 100 billion. I think it is the supply. The first step is that you take the 20 billion, the 20%, and you set that aside and you consider that like locked permanently, basically. So that's the liquidity that will then go onto Cauldron from the token side, right? So that's 20%. And then that 80% that you have left is put in the bonding curve, which is basically like a Cauldron pool, except it's in tap swap, and then people can trade that obviously up and down, right? The more BCH they put in, then the more the bonding curve has BCH and has sold the token. And then the idea is if it gets all the way up to 80% of the total supply, which is 100% of the bonding supply, then because the pump bonding curve has now made all that BCH, right? Because people swapped in BCH to get out the tokens. Some of that 21 BCH from that sale is now paired with the 20% that you set aside at the start, and that goes into Cauldron. And what Pat was saying before, that is the person who created the bonding curve can't withdraw that 20% from Cauldron. So there will always be a market there, right? They can't just pump it all up and then cash out that extra 20% because the 20% is just in the marketplace. Obviously, that can be sold down if the pump holders then sell their tokens back into it. They can reduce the price, but it will never hit zero because there'll always be that market because nobody can come along and remove the pool afterwards. That's what I understand of how it works.
That's 100% correct.
Yeah, okay. Makes a lot of sense. So what it means is when that token's launch, of course, the first people, so the generator, the creator of that token, or any snipers could come in and push up and buy a lot of that early liquidity, and of course could then still dump that liquidity once it's on Cauldron, but the creator itself has actually no advantage over anyone else, other than, of course, knowing when the token's going to be launched. But hey, if you've got the right bot, you can be in there as soon as a new token's available, and you can be buying up that liquidity. So yeah, great. Then thank you very much, Jeremy, for that. I think that's good insight, and it makes it very understandable for everyone listening. And yeah, how has that launch been, Pat? How did it meet expectations?
Well, I think it was requested even before BCH started to work on this, to have such a pump fund clone on BCH. So it gave everyone an expression that there are people which are eager to jump in and ape in with their bags into such a Ponzi scheme to get rich quick and become the king of the hill. But so far, I would say that the launch was mediocre. Even the first token, which I have launched to celebrate the platform or the app launch, did not hit 100% progress. So this means that maybe there is less demand for such a careless trading with these tokens, or maybe someone did not yet invent all the scripts to take advantage of that. Nobody yet shilled it to, I don't know, YouTube public they have influence over. So it's very calm.
All right, so yeah, the pump token, as you say, hasn't filled yet. The original token is at 83%, so I guess that is the point. It hasn't filled yet. And okay, so there's slightly then cooler reaction so far to BCH pump than what you were hoping for.
Well, I was not hoping to get anything out of it. I was like very curious and willing to have this application on BCH as a proof of concept and a demonstrator to another blockchains that we are at such a technical point that we could even copy the such an advanced applications to our blockchain. And in this sense, we reached our targets. It was very fun to work on this application, and it gave me extra experience, which I never had, and hands-on time working on such a complex contracts with several inputs and this long chain of contract interactions. Yeah, but in terms of, I don't know, revenue from it, it's barely something. Because
there we go.
such
Bitcoin Cash podcast has to.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say that the platform, if you would want to know the platform point of view on this, platform always earns from the volume, and as soon as volume is right, there is some revenue flow, and yeah, for this we need the volume, and currently there is no hype train or something like this, or I don't know, influencers trying to make I don't know, make profit from this from their follower base or something like this. So this means that the platform revenue is in this sense almost absent.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So yeah, I guess like a lot of things, that they're building it. This is a very incredibly important part. You need the thing in the first place. Without the thing, there's nothing to market. So that's the absolute crux. It's the foundation. And I think there's been some fantastic work here, and I'm really happy to see all the work that's being done in making more platforms, more more utility, more places where you can gamble and have fun. But of course, then the next step, and this is also is tricky, very different requirements of the skill sets needed, is to get it out there, get it pitched, get it marketed, get people using this. And I'm not sure, Pat, have you or BCH Autist have had any ideas in approaching that sort of the marketing angle and getting people more hyped about this and utilizing BCH Pump or TapSwap Cash more often?
Well, I must admit that I have no skills in this field, and yeah, I mean, this is why you guys are the key for our community. We devs, we develop, we can build whichever you would request from us, if it is possible from our side. But mostly there is a big demand for I don't know, so the synergy must be there from the community, so that the community would enhance the app kind of presence to the outer world and spark and make this interest spark.
That's an interesting point, Pat. I don't know if you want to, well, maybe we can discuss more at another time, right? But like you said, you need that synergy between people who are promoting and more on the product side with their engineering that you're doing. I mean, obviously in this case, you and BCH Autist just decided, oh, okay, we're going to collaborate and build this project. And yeah, it has been great. So in that sense, we've made some forward progress, but maybe on the next one, then we should chat. And I've got quite a few ideas that I would love to have some extra engineering help on, and maybe that's an oversight that we got to think, more from the planning stage, like before just jumping into different things if we're going to maximize that collaboration. So yeah, we'll chat more about that. Definitely. I've got a bunch of ideas, let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only the ideas which are viable, but as well the kind of the implementation of those ideas. If I would say that it is in my possibilities to modify the site with blows and whistles, I can do that, but it will not be looking, I don't know, shiny and I don't know, glossy and whatnot, like shaking and I don't know, jumping all around like on Pump Fun. For this, you would need to be I don't know, psychologist to understand the crowd and to spark that formal I don't know, mood into them. So yeah.
Oh, I would challenge that, Pat. It's not about being a psychologist, and this is where many people, including myself, have stressed that. Of course, more developers are nice, and I think Bitcoin Cash could do with more developers. But what it needs more than anything else is entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurs aren't necessarily certainly not psychologists, and entrepreneurs range from incredibly smart to being actually maybe not that academically or smart, but they just see what do people value. That's all it is. Where what do people value, or they see a particular problem and they think, well, if there was a solution for this, then of course, because this affects many people, then there'd be people willing to pay money for this.
Yeah.
And this is where but so just changing the word for that, but then I'm absolutely aligned, and I think what BCH what Jeremy said is fantastic. Is that there should absolutely be a few more contact points, because between the sort of entrepreneurs and the developers who are incredibly smart and worth their weight in gold, but just to sort of link this up, so with the great brains with entrepreneurs. I think BCH Pump is great, and I'm looking forward to see its success. And as you say, the development's there; it's been done, and it just needs that sort of linking up. But there's projects that I know of, and I will try and maybe push the people in your direction, which are offering value out there. And as you say, you can't make that flashy, right? But that's not the point, is it? Because you have different people with their different skills, aiming at their different things. But just to try to get the community a bit more interlinked together, because I think you mentioned it earlier. It's great that you've been able to afford to be able to do what you do, and find a way to earn money through the community, so that you can work on this amazing technology around Bitcoin Cash. And that's what we want to make sure everyone can do, right? Because if we're not earning money with with the things we create, then at a certain point, maybe there is the dreaded 8-hour office job, which wouldn't be working on Freedom Tech then.
Yeah, at this point, I would like to say, with regard to entrepreneurship, if you are an entrepreneur and interested in having such a product, but make it shiny and attractive and appealing just DM me, and we can handle this and make a deal, and I will sell this platform to you, and you can create the success story out of it, because technical part is all there.
There we go. There's an offer. Who's going to be coming with the great plan of bringing PCH Pump into the mainstream? I think that the work is there, and it's great, and it'd be great to see someone that could really take that and push that and make it a great thing, a big thing out of that. So there's many other things I'd love to have talked about you. I see like we're kind of pressed on time. I mean, do you have an extra 15 minutes, Pat? Is that possible?
Yes, sure. I have extra time, up to 1 hour.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe then we could just like, it really interests me. One of the other things you've mentioned was mainnet.js. So this is something you've taken over. So just to read, on the GitHub from how it's described, a high level developer friendly interface to interact with Bitcoin Cash network. And I'd just love to hear in your own words, what is mainnet.js? Like, what's this trying to solve? And yeah, why should people? What makes this an interesting project?
Yeah, so it is basically a umbrella project to collect the smaller libraries and put them together, make them work with each other. It is basically has some interfaces to the BCH SPV servers, which are indexes, Fulcrum or Electrum. protocol based. It has some machinery to work the crypto magic for the user, and if you would say, so it's a patchwork of instruments put together to make it convenient to a newcomer to start working with the BCH network. So you could create a new wallet, you could get its deposit address, you could make a transaction to put to spend from this deposit address. You could create a QR code to request someone some money to put onto this deposit address, and so on. So there are many facets to speak about in Mainnet.js, but you could really think about it as an umbrella project, a patchwork of instruments which are really handy in everyday's life of a developer which wants to just jump in and start implementing the ideas and not like hitting his head against the wall trying to figure out the crypto magic he needs to.
And I guess this is where your name is coming from, Pat.
Yes, exactly. When I came there and Simon invited me to work there, I was like trying to pick a proper handle for me, and which would be unique to the community. And I just said, whatever, I could just take the mainnet from the mainnet cache, and that's my unique handle in the community, because there are many paths, but there is one mainnet path.
There's only one mainnet path. That's true. Okay, and you get to see sort of how much usage people how much people are using mainnet. Is it something that's growing? Is it something that you're seeing developments over the last sort of 2 years when we've had quite a few important upgrades to Bitcoin Cash to to upgrade the virtual machine?
Yes, I think there are a number of people which use the project, and I don't know, on the repository side, I think I had the something like used by this many other projects and so on, but I don't see it now. So I'm aware that there are many projects using it for kind of their applications. I myself, I think every of my project which I spoke today about and others which may be hidden from you at this moment or not mentioned, they all use the Mainnet.js. Many of them use the cache script. Many of them use the Electrum cache directly. So there is a user base, and this is why the maintenance is important. And there are people in dev chats and in Mainnet Cache Telegram channel coming in to ask for some help. And of course, I always help them with some hints how to proceed and how to use the library. So yes, there is the user base.
And how is that user base changing over time? Do you see any changes? Is it something that's growing? Is it something that's evolving, or is that something?
Well, hard to say now, because I clearly recall this on the GitHub project page that there were these, I don't know, these much projects are using your library and so on, but I cannot say right now. There are people which are coming with the handles which I never have seen, asking me the questions about the Mainnet.js. So I think that the usage grows.
Okay, so this is somewhere. So if you're a budding developer builder on Bitcoin Cash, so this is something then we would highly recommend. This is something to go and check out. This makes life easier. And thinking about like the library of BitAuth a little bit, like how does it tie in with that?
Yeah, LibAuth is a very low-level library which allows you to do cryptographic tasks and, for example, deriving the keys from the HD seed, deriving public keys from private keys, and it's a bunch of functions and primitives put together. So it's really a toolbox. And Mainnet.js capitalizes on that and uses as much from the lib-off, which is possible. We also use the lib-off templates internally to produce the transactions and to sign them. So I think I cannot say we use the maximum what it offers, but we use quite a substantial part of lib-off in Mainnet.js internally.
Okay, then yeah, this is something I also need to be. I would like to check out myself. There's certain amounts of, like, the last time that I was coding was in 2016, so quite some time ago.
Yeah.
And doing any sort of that work. But I think it's time for me, because I have some certain ideas in my mind that I'd like to sort of have a bit more of an understanding of what would the effort and work be required to actually implement that
Yeah, I think
on Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, as I see it in my Copilot helper, it really outputs. This is the kind of a chat GPT for VS Code, and I have a subscription to that. So it's a kind of an AI assistant which helps you write code. It knows about the library, and it kind of generates the usable code, knowing the internals of Mainnet.js. So clearly, our project is indexed. And whenever you work with it with Copilot in an environment where Copilot is present, you would have a brief start. And I think I need to check the ChatGPT, but I think it is aware of Mainnet.js as well. So you could have a brief start there too.
It's amazing that it's aware, of that. So it'll be interesting to see how Grok 3 is. I was actually just testing out the coding abilities of Grok 3 yesterday or the day before. I think yesterday, and I compiled the result. With my nephew, I sent it to my nephew, and he tweaked it. It's really amazing how AI has really come on now with coding and being able to offer basic. Well, actually, not even basic. Like, there's some quite complicated coding that it was doing to create some three-dimensional quaternals to get a really great technology. So people that are sort of interested or dabbling, I think it's a good idea just to give it as a use. So you said with open AI, so ChatGPT, this is aware of that. So anyone with Copilot.
Yeah, exactly.
Also...
So I think whenever the coding assistant environment you have access to, you should ask to have a starter, I don't know, project or layout of how to use the Mainnet.js, and I think most certainly will get something out, because it really became my tool for coding, and I have plenty of valid tips coming out of AI. So I myself do not need to do too much of a tedious tasks. It will, if it's a simple JS, it will be offered me immediately in less of a second time. So, and as well, a valid code which uses the Mainnet.js primitives which I have instantiated, and so on.
So, I'd love to be able to see this in action. So I know the BCH Bliss. There's the workshop. A cache script there's the cache script workshop where Roscoe and Matthew Goykin will be there. I don't suppose there's anything that we can ever see from Mainnet. Pat, is it a workshop or maybe a Bliss to go through Mainnet.js?
Well, I will not participate in this year's venue, so I will not be able to present. I have asked for maybe online presence, but I'm not sure if organizers could have a slot for this. Hopefully next year.
Yeah. Well, then just let us know what we've got to do to make that hopefully next year to become definitely next year. And again, I think this is really interesting. I think a lot of people, could benefit and would benefit largely from showing this. I know the cash script workshop last year was very well received, and I'm excited to see how that progresses this year. Just being able to see this on hands and be able to practice and have someone there with knowledge to guide. To just because I think getting more people into this ecosystem and trying out their ideas can only be a good thing.
Yeah, and to mention, we have on mainnet.cash website a tutorial section where we present some links to my tutorials, which are kind of text-based, and as well to some videos of Matthew on how to start using Mainnet.js, and then to do something out of it, then using cache script together with Mainnet.js. So if you are interested and eager to start or try it out, then definitely go and visit mainnet.cash.
Mainnet.cash. So for anyone that's listening to this, there'll be links underneath the spaces as well, so you can just check out the links to that. So mainnet.cash. I've also got a fiendish shout out. So I assume this is a fiendish shout out. The money was sent. Good. Thumbs up. So there you go. I'm not sure who that's to. I'll say that was to you, Pat. Really, great information. Thank you so much for all your work. I know there's other things that I'd really love to delve into. Just a little bit cautious of time. But XMR to BCH swaps. This is another one that you did some work on over the last 12 months. So I'm sure everyone in the BCH community understands why Bitcoin Cash is really designed for the future world currency, and there's a great privacy on it, and with ideas of actually making the ultimate privacy in future years. But today, as it stands, Monero XMR is still the de facto, the privacy coins, and I think very arguably has some higher levels of privacy than BCH today. So maybe you could is there anything you'd like to say about that? Like, how does that work? Where can we actually, for people that would like to be able to swap from BCH to XMR using atomic swaps, where can they see that you're working and actually, and be able to utilize that?
So I have implemented the BCH XMR atomic swaps in the basic swap text interface. It is basic swap dex in one word.com. Then it's a program, it's a software suite to be downloaded onto your PC. It will download the blockchains for high security standards, kind of, so that you do not trust the external data. You download the entire data onto your computer, and then it runs the daemons on your local machine. So it's very private in this regard. And then it runs or hosts a web page which is local to your computer. And it has an interface for this platform, Basic Swap DEX. And this September, I guess, or October, I worked with the team, and I have integrated the BCH to XMR atomic swaps into this program. And it was, from one hand, very hard, because the complexity of the software, but on the another hand, I understand this now, it was very easy because I have used the existing foundation to build only the relevant parts in, and in my implementation, which I still work on, it is more simple in this regard, that I do not require the full blockchains to be downloaded to your local machine. And it's a web application to execute those swaps in a kind of relaxed environment by connecting to the trusted endpoints, the data providers. For example, the fulcrum service from known infrastructure runners from our community, and like trusted nodes from Monero space, which you would as well pick for yourself. And then what it does, it really removes this burden of downloading hundreds of gigabytes of blockchain data just for the sake of swapping $10 over the network, like $10 in XMR to $10 in BCH. But yeah, I still work on this, and of course, the lack of this software foundation, which I spoke about, kind of makes me to reinvent it at some scale. So there are many technical hurdles which I had to overcome, and most of them I did. It was kind of hard to run 3 big libraries which are WebAssembly, and I experienced all kinds of technical issues of them not liking each other, not running in this environment, not running in this browser, not compiling here, not compiling there. So I spent like, I don't know, quite a lot of time to improve the library, the Monero library, and I have helped out the Wutzer. Big props to that guy. And I have helped him to improve his library to the level at which it is usable by my project, because there were some issues with this WebAssembly approach and so on. And then I am using this to create a React app which not only tracks one swap, because, for example, if you want to swap, I don't know, 10 BCH into Monero, there might be not enough liquidity from a counterparty. Like there could be 10 people offering one XMR. So you would need to kind of run 10 swaps in parallel to swap your 10 BCH into 10 Monero. So it adds some more complexity to the approach. And another difficulty which I have experienced is that the message exchange, because the swap process is interactive, you need to exchange the messages, technical messages, with your counterparty, and this is done over P2P layer by using the lib P2P, and it has some technical challenges to itself as well. To run it not on server environment but in a browser environment, because there are plenty of limitations with regard to exchanging messages between two end user computers over the internet, like being behind the NAT and your packets being dropped and you cannot find each other and so on, and running the decentralized order book, distributed order book over the network and so on. So it's clearly a challenge to create such an application. And yes, I'm still working on this. And I'm glad that Power Up Privacy, it's an entity on the internet. They have helped me raise extra money to finalize my work. And I hope I work actively on this, and I hope to finish this year, a bit later this year, and have a web app, and they will be helping me to kind of release it not under my name, but under their company name. They will help me with the legal stuff, because if you recall, there were a crackdown on privacy tools last year, so I'm totally not willing to deal with any 3-letter agencies. And yes, they have offered me some help on this front too.
I'm glad to hear this, because we need to protect our developers, and I think I think right now the risks are less, than they were a year ago. But those risks are still very unknown and they change very quickly.
Yeah.
And the risks are very high. You really worst case is lifetime in jail. There's not
Yes,
the kind of
exactly.
risks you want to be you're playing with.
It's a bit different
Yeah.
to be
Okay.
a
So
it's a bit different to be a developer of a privacy tools or be an owner or enterprise running these privacy tools. So I'm not willing to be the
yeah.
latter.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes absolute sense. But I think these are great tools, and just looking at basic swap decks, this is something that people can use for free. This is the fees that you pay are just the blockchain fees. So this is really the very definition of freedom tech.
Yeah.
This is and it's wonderful to see. And I have to admit, this is something I always say. And of course, when talking about changing money, and especially when you're taking a fee for that, you have to be incredibly careful of this. So for the entrepreneurs that are listening to this message, do bear in mind of the laws of your country and that money laundering laws, international money laundering laws are incredibly hot with this, which is why XMR was banned from many exchanges. So take this, but I really do believe that with all the sort of swapping systems and being able to change BCH into XMR for that additional privacy when needed for whatever reason, especially if you're in countries where you are politically persecuted and you really want to hide your transactions, it makes a lot of sense to use the highest privacy that's possible. But I think when you're offering such services is absolutely okay from me from a moral perspective, and also to continue with that to make sure that it's actually being paid for. So the entrepreneurial hat goes on, and it's not just freedom tech. It's okay to basically to cover your salaries there and maybe a bit more, so that you can continue developing and working in this. But again, with the massive caveat, be wary of being breaking the law and ending up in
Mhm.
jail, which doesn't benefit you, your family, and certainly doesn't benefit BCH or Freedom Tech.
Yes, there is one more thing I wanted to add with regards to atomic swaps, is that the Moria USD is now out, and in May it will leave the beta stage, and soon it will be kind of having better liquidity. And my target with atomic swaps is to make the swaps between the USDT or whatever stable coins on Ethereum or on any EVM chain possible with Moria USD, so that it would be kind of an onboarding, not a breach, but not onboarding. What's the name? I don't know. Ledge. I don't know. So this would be a possibility to onboard those people to swap in some of the stable coins from any other network, EVM compatible network, and try out Mori USD on BCH and Go Shop and go using it and trying out all our ecosystem. Um, I feel lonely here.
Oh, sorry, I was just jabbering away to myself there. I forgot to turn the mic off. I just wanted to say that Mario is a really fantastic project. It was a good call out. Looking at the total value lock now, it's up to 50,000. 30-day volume is $160,000, which, when considering the fact that this project is a beta test, and it's basically just ironing out the kinks, runs until May, with the full project actually intended to launch fourth quarter this year. Very, very exciting project, a lot of promise, and just seeing this explosion of DeFi, and different ways of hedging your BCH. Is fantastic, and what I do love about that particular project is the fact people are very skeptical of stable coins, and you have this centralized authority, and the backing the value of that stable coin theoretically, such as UDSC, which is less theoretical, USDT, which is more theoretical. But Morio, actually, all your trading is backed in Bitcoin Cash. So, if there's any inflation, if the government prints out double the money and the inflation's at 100%, it just means you're giving that value to other BCH holders. That's fantastic. That's great,
Yeah.
right? Rather than giving it to the government. So I love that.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, then, yeah, to make sure the episode is um, close to an hour, close enough, I think. I guess the time's now coming to an end for this episode of Phoenix Friends. Thank you so much, Pat. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on here. And yeah, BCH Pump, I'd love to see some more usage of this. So let's hope we can get the pump token to its bonding curve. So it just needs an extra 17% more. And I'll put a link there to that in the chat. And yeah, to support this project, it doesn't necessarily have to be about making money. It's just if you want to once this token gets to 100% on the bonding curve, then some money is sent to some BCH is sent to the site, and this could be a way of saying thank you, Pat, for all of your great work in the ecosystem and on BCH Pump. So I really look forward to see some more usage there. And as you said, if there's any entrepreneurs that want to take this to the next level, contact Pat and let him know, how you can help him, or if you want to buy the platform off him and take that to the next level.
Yeah.
So for all you
Thanks for
listeners,
having me. Yeah.
yeah,
I just wanted to say some words of appreciation. Thanks for
please,
having
yeah.
me. Thanks everyone for listening. And yeah, invite me anytime to speak about other of my projects or anything.
We will gladly do that. And what's also being planned at sometime in the near future is to have a few people on some more longer topics, so allowing a bit more room to delve into to certain, maybe it could be challenges that we have with development, but also linking, as we've discussed today, linking development with also entrepreneurism and making sure that everything comes together to have more success within the ecosystem. And I'd love to have your views on those points coming from the developer's perspective. If you enjoyed the Fiendish show, I want to show your appreciation. Please feel free to drop some BCH or a Fiendish token into our wallet. The address is in the comment on the spaces. And please make sure to follow Pat on Twitter at Mainnet_Pat to keep up to date with all of his latest projects that he's building. Go and check out bchpump.cash. Have lots of fun. This was Phoenix and Friends. I wish you all a very good morning, good day, and good night. Take care, Pat. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.